were some very intriguing moves that took place in week 1 of the NFL free agency. Some moves that I think help some contending teams get even closer to contention for a championship. I think, 4 moves come to mind. Here are the 4 best moves I saw in free agency so far. I think a lot of people are sleeping on this move. People are quick to say a player's washed. But D-Hop to the Baltimore Ravens, I think this is a fantastic move, especially the value they got him at. 1 year, $5 million. He could get up to $6 million with incentives, but just to get that type of receiver, that type of, player, he fits exactly what that offense is missing. Obviously, the Ravens don't need him to be a 1,300-yard receiver. But people are comparing this move to Deshaun Jackson, Dez Bryant, Odell Beckham Jr. going to the Baltimore Ravens. No, that's not the case. D-Hop is going to be more like Steve Smith and Anquan Boldin going to the Baltimore Ravens. Steve Smith, at the age of 33, 34, 79 catches, 1,065 yards, 6 touchdowns, had a big season in Baltimore, and then had 2 700-yard plus receiving seasons after that before he hung it up. Anquan Boldin, 30 years old, had 800 yards at least in 3 seasons with the Ravens, and was a big reason why they won that Super Bowl, because he was that reliable target for Joe Flacco in the playoffs. D-Hop, a contested catcher. The Ravens don't have that. A fade ball catcher. The Ravens didn't have that. So Lamar, he's going to be able to have somebody that's going to go up and get the 50-50 balls. Obviously, Rashad Bateman, you have him. He's a matchup nightmare. Put up 700 yards receiving, 9 touchdowns, was that deep play threat, deep ball threat. Zay Flowers showed you he could be that number 1 wide receiver, having a 1,000-yard season, being a Pro Bowler. Mark Andrews, you're bringing him back. They took on his signing bonus, didn't move him. You got Isaiah Likely. There's not a lot of pressure on D-Hop to be fantastic and elite. All he has to give the Ravens is 600 yards receiving, maybe. Just be a better Nelson Aguilar. Give Lamar Jackson and this Ravens offense something that they didn't have. Do things well that complement the other receivers. That's it. And it's funny because D-Hop posted a photo 5 years ago with him, Lamar, and Derrick Henry saying how many touchdowns would this, trio score. And we'll see. I mean, Derrick Henry, it's been a resurgence for him coming to Baltimore. People thought he was washed too. Coming to Baltimore, 30 years old, almost rushing for 2,000 yards with Lamar. I think, there could be a resurgence for D-Hop too. I think he could be a little more productive than people are going to give him credit for. People, like I said, people are saying he's washed. In 2023, he played 17 games, had 75 catches, 1,057 yards receiving with 7 touchdowns, with Will Levis at his quarterback majority of that season. He was still productive last season with Patrick Mahomes. I think the motivation to playing with Lamar will be different. He's been saying it'd be an honor to play with Lamar. I think there's just a different sense with that. Playing with his best friend Derrick Henry, there's a lot of more motivation in Baltimore for D-Hop, and a good opportunity for him to get, back to playing elite. I mean, he's going to be 33 this season. I think he still is technically sound, still has a reliable hands. He still has everything he needs to win one-on-one matchups, still be that, security blanket for Lamar, and be a guy he could trust down the stretch. Mark Andrews was that guy he could trust, but come playoff time, Mark Andrews fumbled 2 times. There wasn't somebody else. Zay Flowers was hurt. Rashad Bateman was banged up too. Now you have D-Hop, a guy that you can trust, a guy that's going to try to show up big in moments for Lamar. D-Hop, Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, and Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, Justice Hill, Keaton Mitchell, like this offense is going to be dangerous. And I think, D-Hop coming into the mix, being that dominant X receiver, that outside receiver for them, will give them a different look that will help them even take more advantage of defenses. So another big year incoming for Lamar and this Ravens team. Unfortunately, I think DJ Reed to the Detroit Lions is a fantastic move. Carlton Davis was somebody that the Detroit Lions really liked. They wanted to bring him back, and he went out to the Patriots and got paid even more. He got paid a 3-year, $60 million deal, I believe. DJ Reed comes to, the Lions getting less than that and still giving you the same kind of production, the same kind of player. I think, DJ Reed might be better. He's 29 years old. They're about the same age, but this is a guy that's gritty, physical corner. He loves to hit, really good in coverage. In his Jets tenure, 53% completion percentage allowed, 6th in the NFL, 5.8 yards per attempt allowed, 7th in the NFL. He's consistent corner, 52 tackles last season, 11 pass deflections. Like I said, he's a perfect fit to this defense. The secondary continues to be deep. Arnold was solid in his rookie season. Kirby Joseph was an elite safety last year. 88 tackles, 9 interceptions. Brian Branch is that Swiss Army knife. He could play nickel, he could play outside, he could play safety. And he had 120 tackles, 4 interceptions last year. So big time player. The secondary is elite. Amik Robinson too. He shut down Justin Jefferson in that Minnesota game. So the secondary is full of talented players. And I think DJ Reed is a perfect complement to the secondary, the perfect addition. And he'll be a great veteran presence to, elevate this group of young players. Give them great leadership. Give them great advice in game to help them take their game to the next level. So the Detroit Lions adding him to the mix was a great addition. Drew Dalman and Grady Jarrett to the Chicago Bears. 2 perfect moves for the Bears. Drew Dalman is a perfect center for Ben Johnson offense, an offense that likes to run a lot of zone. He did that in Atlanta, was one of the best run blocking centers in the NFL. Athletic, fast, can move, can get to the second level, technically sound, can make all types of blocks that you need your center to make, and could be a leader for an offensive line. And he's still young enough to grow and be there for a decent amount of Caleb Williams' career the next couple years. So I think he's going to fit perfectly with the Chicago Bears. I think he's going to set the tone for that offense line. Him next to Joe Thuney, Jonah Jackson. This run game for the Chicago Bears is going to get nasty. I want to see Genty running in that A gap behind Drew Dalman. And Joe Thuney on the left side, that would be must see. Grady Jarrett, he's a defensive lineman that's just going to elevate that Bears defensive group. Montez Sweat, great player, but he's not as vocal as a Grady Jarrett. Grady Jarrett, he already in his press conferences, he had Bears fans falling in love with him. He's a type that's just, that Akeem Hicks type of player. That guy that just, talks shit, makes plays, great run stopper. He's going to be the Joe Thuney of this defense for the Chicago Bears, and he still can play. I think he's still got some really good seasons left in him, maybe 2 to 3 really good seasons left in him. An all-pro player, Pro Bowl player, one of the best interior defensive tackles in the NFL previously, and tore his ACL, but he bounced back pretty well. Played all 17 games last year. I think he's going to bring everything to the Chicago Bears team and elevate this defensive line. The last move that I really liked was Davante Adams to the Rams. I mean, you replace Cooper Kupp, a guy that was aging, a guy that obviously isn't his triple crown oneself, a guy that's leading the NFL in every damn category, that's putting up a 1,900-yard season, maybe having the best season a receiver has ever had in the NFL history. He's not that guy anymore. But Davante Adams, this is a guy that's he still could be a top 5 receiver with Matthew Stafford throwing him the ball. And I'm glad he didn't go where Aaron Rodgers went. Matthew Stafford is the best quarterback for him to play with right now. Just that veteran, accurate quarterback. Having Puka and Davante, the Rams, this offense is a lot better when you have that outside receiver like Davante, similar to, when Odell Beckham Jr. was that dominant route runner, creating separation. Cooper Kupp would be able to, make his work and do what he does underneath, motioning a lot of times. Just so having that guy that could beat man-to-man coverage like Davante still can, that athleticism, he has not lost his step. In the last 5 years, he's had 1,000 yards and 64 touchdowns since 2019, second in the NFL. He will be a third down threat and a downfield threat for, Matthew Stafford. And Puka Nacua is going to be that guy that's just going to eat underneath, and you're going to have Davante Adams being able to win downfield. So this offense for the Rams will be one of the best in the NFL. Once again, this offense will be dangerous. The Rams are a Super Bowl contender. They are the second best team behind Philly in the NFC. Stafford has 2 top 10 receivers to throw the ball to. This is just an amazing fit for the Rams. This is the best move in free agency, the best signing individually. And Davante Adams is not washed by any means. He had 1,063 yards receiving, 8 touchdowns last year in New York, averaged 78 yards a game in New York. Still an elite route runner, smart, savvy, tied with Neighbors, Sutton for best fade ball catchers in the NFL. He caught 10. Last 4 seasons, he's had 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns at least. I think Davante Adams still has 3 1,000-yard seasons left in him, especially with Matthew Stafford. That just continues him playing at a high level. Just having a quarterback like that, Matthew Stafford is sixth, seventh best quarterback in the NFL, second best quarterback in the NFC. So I think working with Sean McVay too, like this offense is going to be scary. I'm excited for Devontae Adams to, be back home in LA and have an opportunity to compete for a Super Bowl and go out there, have a guy like Matthew Stafford, have a guy like Puka Nacua next to him, have a guy like, Sean McVay as his coach. Like things will get scary in LA. And this draft, the draft board is open for them. They brought back Alaric Jackson on the offensive line. They brought back Coleman Shelton as a backup center, Poona Ford as an interior defensive lineman. That defensive line is going to be scary. Poona Ford had a really good season with the Chargers last year, so I like all the moves that the Rams have made. Tutu Atwell being back too in the slot. This team could do whatever in the draft, and I trust Les Snead to cook. I think he's the second best GM behind Howie Roseman, so I'm excited to see what they do in the draft. And yeah, this Rams team, I think this is the second best team in the NFC behind Philly. Some people thought the NFC North was going to be the worst division in football this season. They thought it was going to be as bad as the NFC South.